Today I'm celebrating Train Your Brain Day. Now, as always, have some ambivalence about the thought of training your brain because often these brain training exercises and apps and gimmicks and gadgets seem to me uh, a little trite, um, not very deep or profound, tricking your brain into memorizing lots of meaningless facts that don't necessarily shape your life or anybody else's. Um, there are many of these brain training activities that really are just a way of entertaining a very boring aspect of what it is to be human, and cultivating this, like, oh well, I can pour forth lots of facts and that's very impressive. Well, memory is a wonderful thing. It can provide great context and depth for what it is to be a human being. But getting beyond the idea of this simple brain training that has measurable outcomes, our brains are these incredibly complex, the most complex living organism that has been found on Earth so far, as I understand it, in terms of the number of cells and the number of interactions, the number of connections. I think it's only the only other thing that's comparable are the incredible fungal networks that we have that connect underground through our forests. There are things that the human brain has achieved in terms of our understanding of the universe and the the capacity for science to be able to apprehend nature and be able to make it understandable and manipulable to us is just incredible. So it would be ridiculous to not celebrate the capacity of our brains. And yet they also remain these incredible mysteries to us. There's some people seem to think that the brain is where all of our activity emanates from, that our brain is in charge of our body, and yet we've found that actually there's brain tissue around our hearts. For years people used to say, oh, you have to think with your heart, and now we are seeing the truth of that. There is this kind of neural tissue that is actually distributed through other parts of the body too. We don't exist purely in our heart, in our brains. People seem to think that if your brain is turned off, that's it, that's the end of you. Well, we've seen people with brain injuries that defy such a simplistic view of what it is to have a brain. But I suppose the reason I feel compelled to join Train Your Brain Day is because we really can train our brain in so many ways to have a more beneficial impact on our own lives and the lives of others. There's a poem which I absolutely love called The Habit Poem, and although it talks about all sorts of habits that we have and that we can train to become our master or our servant, it is also very much pointing towards the training of your brain and the thoughts that we have and the impact that has on our life. There's an absolutely wonderful and very short book that I wholeheartedly recommend to everyone called As a Man Thinketh. It was written a long time ago, and so it has this as a man thinketh as if it's not relevant to women, but it's not the case at all. And it's really just about how the thoughts that we have, I love it. There's a phrase where he talks about a garden will bring forth, it's just a question of what we plant in it. So if you prepare naked ground, if you don't plant seeds that you wish to cultivate, it will bring forth weeds and unhelpful plants. Gardens will bring forth no matter what, and our thoughts will also bring forth no matter what. And it's up to us the conscious part of ourselves, to determine what sort of thoughts we wish to cultivate in that fertile space that we associate with our brains. Perhaps it's more broadly just our mind, and that's not necessarily the same thing. There's a lot of very interesting stuff that you can find that points out that our mind doesn't necessarily find itself located in the brain exclusively. And whether or not our mind is inside or outside our bodies very much remains up for debate. But no matter what, the brain plays an invaluable function in what it is to be a human being. And we associate it with thinking. And the control of our thoughts and the cultivation of thoughts which benefit our lives is something that we do have the power to guide and even to determine. I'm still working on it. Maybe it's a lifetime's work in progress. But today I would like to encourage us to think about training our brain not in terms of how many facts we can regurgitate, but creating a mind using our brains that gives us the best possible chance of being able to live not just a happy life, but a meaningful life, one that sustains ourselves and others and makes this project of being alive fully worthwhile. So today, I hope you'll join me in celebrating Train Your Brain Day.